Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a simple question. How many of you get upset when things don't go your way? Raise your hands, be honest. Yes. Now tell me, do you think mentally strong people never face challenges? Do you think they never feel pain, never feel stressed, or never get hurt? That's not true. The difference is not in what they face, the difference is in how they think about what they face. You see, ordinary people see problems as barriers, but mentally strong people see them as stepping stones. Ordinary people get drained by setbacks. Mentally strong people get trained by them. So today, let's dive deep into the beautiful mindset of mentally strong people and understand how they think differently. Now, let me tell you something, my friends. Life is a very funny teacher. It gives the exam first, and then it teaches you the lesson. And one of the most important lessons is this: you cannot control everything in life, but you can control how you respond to it. Think about it. Can you control the weather? No. But you can carry an umbrella. Can you control traffic? No. But you can leave early. Can you control how people behave? Absolutely not. But you can control whether you lose your peace because of them or not. This is the exact mindset of mentally strong people. They don't waste energy trying to control the uncontrollable. They understand, my peace is in my hands, not in the hands of situations or people. Let me share a little story. One day, a young man came to me furious. He said, "People insult me, they mock me, they criticize me. I feel so weak, so powerless." I asked him, "Tell me, my dear friend, if someone hands you a burning coal, will you hold it tightly in your hand?" He said, "Of course not. I'll drop it immediately." I told him exactly. Then why are you holding on to the burning words of others? They are not in your control, but your decision to hold them or drop them, that is in your control. The boy's face changed. Suddenly he realized he was burning himself with other people's words. This is how mentally strong people think differently. They don't ask, "Why did this happen to me?" They ask, "Know that this has happened, how will I respond?" And that small shift in thinking changes everything. Because, my friends, life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you respond to it. Imagine these two people lose their jobs on the same day. One thinks, "My life is finished." The other thinks, "Maybe this is the chance to start something new." Same situation, completely different response. One becomes a victim, the other becomes victorious. The difference is not the problem. The difference is the perception. So, if you want to become mentally strong, stop wasting time on what you cannot control and start mastering your response. Because true strength is not in controlling life. It is in controlling yourself while life is happening. Yes, there's a big difference between mentally strong people and ordinary people. When life throws a challenge at most of us, the first question we ask is, "Why me? Why is this happening to me? Why am I suffering like this?" It's almost like we are standing with a complaint box in our hands, waiting for the universe to explain itself. But do you know what mentally strong people ask instead? They don't say, "Why me?" They say, "Try me." They see challenges as a chance to prove their strength, not as punishment. Let me give you a very simple example. Imagine a gym. When you lift a heavy weight, do you ask, "Why me? Why did this dumbbell come to me?" No. You pick it up and you know the weight is making your muscles stronger. In the same way, mentally strong people see problems as the dumbbells of life. The heavier the challenge, the stronger they know they can become if they lift it with courage. I once met a young girl who lost her father at a very early age. Most people would break down completely, but this girl looked me in the eyes and said, "Life took away my father, but it also gave me a mission to take care of my family. I will not sit here and ask why it happened to me. I will ask, what can I do about it?" That, my friends, is the voice of mental strength. The truth is, when we say, "Why me?" we are resisting reality, and resistance always leads to suffering. But when we say, "Try me," we are accepting reality and choosing to grow through it. Life is not unfair to you alone. Every person you see has their share of struggles. The only difference is some people sink in their pain while others swim through it. Think of a seed buried under the soil. It's dark, it's heavy, and it looks hopeless. If the seed could speak, maybe it would cry, "Why me? Why am I stuck here?" But that same darkness, that same pressure makes the seed break open, sprout, and grow into a tree. Without the soil pressing down, there is no growth. Similarly, mentally strong people understand that pressure is not punishment, it is preparation. So the next time life tests you, don't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Instead, smile and whisper to yourself, "Try me, life. Show me what you've got, because every challenge you throw at me is only going to make me stronger." That's the power of their mindset. They turn pain into purpose, trials into training, and tests into triumphs. One of the biggest mistakes people make is chasing perfection. They want everything to be flawless, every plan to work exactly as imagined, every step to be free from mistakes. But let me tell you something, perfection is an illusion. It doesn't exist in real life. Mentally strong people know this. That's why they don't waste time trying to be perfect. They focus on progress. Now, think about a little child learning how to walk. Does the child say, "I fell once, so maybe walking is not for me"? No, the child falls hundreds of times, but each fall is a step forward. Because every time the child falls, they learn balance. Imagine if that child kept saying, "I'll only walk when I'm sure I won't fall again." Then the child would never walk. Progress comes through mistakes, not by avoiding them. I remember meeting a man who was paralyzed by the fear of making mistakes. He would plan and plan and plan, but never act. I asked him, "Why don't you start?" He said, "Because I want to do it perfectly." And I smiled and said, "Then you will never start, because nothing begins perfectly." Even the best musicians you admire once played the wrong notes. The best speakers once stammered on stage. The best athletes once lost again and again before they became champions. Mentally strong people don't wait for perfection. They start with imperfection. They know a rough draft is better than a blank page. They know that small steps every day eventually take you to big destinations. Their mantra is simple: "I don't need to be perfect today. I just need to be better than I was yesterday." Let me share a little analogy. Imagine climbing a mountain. If you keep looking at the peak and say, "I won't move until I'm sure I can reach there without slipping," you'll never move at all. But if you take one step at a time, even if you slip, even if you get bruised, slowly and steadily you'll reach the top. Progress is like that, messy, slow, but steady. Perfectionists often get frustrated because life doesn't go according to their script. But mentally strong people write their script while acting in it. They learn as they move. They don't fear failure because they know failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of success. Every mistake carries a hidden gift, a lesson you cannot learn in books. So, when life puts you in situations where you stumble, don't curse yourself. Don't say, "I'm not good enough." Instead, ask, "What did I learn? How am I growing from this? That shift makes all the difference. The river doesn't flow perfectly straight. It bends, it twists, it crashes into rocks. Yet it keeps flowing and eventually reaches the ocean. Life is like that too. The mentally strong don't chase the mirage of perfection. They celebrate progress. They clap for themselves for small victories. They smile at their mistakes because each mistake is proof that they tried. And in the end, my friends, it is not perfection that makes life beautiful. It is the progress, the growth, the journey, with all its ups and downs, that makes us truly alive. Have you ever noticed something strange about life? The very things that break some people make others stronger. The same storm that sinks one boat gives another sailor the courage to master the ocean. The difference lies in how we interpret setbacks. Ordinary minds see setbacks as the end of the road, but mentally strong people, they see them as a set up for a new beginning. Let me share a simple story with you. Once a farmer's horse ran away. The neighbors came running and said, "Oh no, this is such bad luck." The farmer calmly replied, "Maybe yes, maybe no." A few days later, the horse returned, bringing along 3 wild horses. The neighbors shouted, "Wow! Such good luck." The farmer again said, "Maybe yes, maybe no." The next week, the farmer's son tried to tame one of those wild horses and fell, breaking his leg. The neighbors cried, "Such terrible luck." The farmer repeated, "Maybe yes, maybe no." Soon after, the king's army came to recruit young men for war. But because the son had a broken leg, they left him behind. The neighbors whispered, "Oh, such good luck." And the farmer, with a smile, said, "Maybe yes, maybe no." What's the lesson here? What looks like a setback today may actually be setting you up for something greater tomorrow. Mentally strong people live by this wisdom. They don't label every difficulty as tragedy. They wait, they observe, and they trust that life is always guiding them, even through the hardest times. Think about it. A bow must be pulled backward before it can launch an arrow forward. In the same way, life sometimes pulls us back through failures, heartbreaks, and losses, not to destroy us, but to shoot us forward with more force than before. The mentally strong know this. That's why when life pulls them back, they don't panic. They prepare. I remember meeting a businessman who lost everything in a single deal. Most people around him gave up. Some even went into depression. But he said to me, "This loss is not the end of me. It is the beginning of something new. I now know what mistakes not to repeat." Within a few years, he built something even bigger and stronger. The setback had trained him for success. You see, every champion you admire has a story of setbacks. Great leaders, inventors, artists, athletes, none of them reached where they are without failing again and again. Thomas Edison, when asked about failing 1,000 times while inventing the light bulb, said, "I did not fail 1,000 times. I discovered 1,000 ways that won't work." That's the mindset of the mentally strong. They don't see failure as the end, they see it as education. Let me ask you all, how many of you have faced situations where life didn't go the way you wanted? Almost everyone, right? Now, here's the question: did those situations destroy you, or did they prepare you for something else? Sometimes, when we look back at the darkest chapters of our life, we realize those were the very chapters that built our strength, our resilience, and our wisdom. So the next time life knocks you down, don't curse the fall. Don't call it the end. Look at it and say, "This is not a dead end. This is a detour. This is not a rejection. This is redirection. This is not a punishment. This is preparation." Because mentally strong people don't allow setbacks to define them. They allow setbacks to refine them. And that, my friends, is the secret of turning obstacles into opportunities. Thus, one of the most important differences between ordinary people and mentally strong people is how they deal with pleasure and pain. Ordinary people often want quick results, instant joy, fast rewards. They want to enjoy today even if it destroys tomorrow. But mentally strong people think differently. They know the secret of life is not in chasing short-term pleasures. It's in investing in long-term gains. Think about it. If you want a strong body, you can either choose the pleasure of eating junk food now or the discipline of eating healthy food and exercising. If you want to build financial stability, you can either waste money on unnecessary luxuries today, or you can save and invest for your future. If you want a loving relationship, you can either choose the easy way of avoiding difficult conversations now, or you can do the hard work of communicating honestly so that tomorrow your bond is unbreakable. The mentally strong know this. Short-term sacrifice creates long-term strength. I once met a student who was always distracted. Parties, social media, late nights, endless entertainment. I asked him, "Why don't you study?" He said, "Because I want to enjoy my life." "What if I die tomorrow?" I smiled and said, "And what if you live for the next 50 years? Then what will you do?" Everyone laughed, but he understood. If you live only for today, tomorrow will punish you. But if you prepare today, tomorrow will reward you. You see, life is always testing us with two voices. One voice whispers, "Take it easy, enjoy now, don't worry about later." The other voice says, "Do the hard thing now, so you can enjoy greater peace later." Weak minds listen to the first voice. Strong minds train themselves to listen to the second. That's why mentally strong people may look like they are sacrificing in the present, but really, they are investing in their future. There's a story about a bamboo tree. You water it for years, and nothing seems to happen. No sprout, no growth, nothing. People laugh at you saying, "Why are you wasting your time?" But the mentally strong farmer keeps watering patiently day after day. Then suddenly, after years of invisible growth, the bamboo shoots up to 90 feet tall in just weeks. What looks like an overnight success is actually the result of years of invisible discipline. That's how life works too. Short-term thinkers quit because they don't see results immediately. Mentally strong people persist, knowing the roots are growing underground, even if no one can see them. Let me give you another example. Exams. If you choose the pleasure of playing all day and skipping studies, the result is panic on exam day. But if you choose the pain of discipline, the result is joy on exam day. In the same way, if you choose the pleasure of gossip, of laziness, of wasting time now, life gives you stress later. But if you choose the pain of discipline, of patience, of hard work now, life gives you peace later. Mentally strong people have mastered this truth. Short-term pleasures often lead to long-term pain, while short-term sacrifices often lead to long-term happiness. They have the courage to delay gratification. They don't need to eat all the fruits today. They are willing to plant seeds and wait for a harvest tomorrow. So the next time you're tempted by the easy road, pause and ask yourself, is this pleasure worth the pain it may bring tomorrow? And when you find yourself facing a tough discipline, remind yourself, this pain is not forever. It's an investment in my future. That's how mentally strong people think. They don't trade their future for a few moments of comfort. They build a future where comfort and peace naturally follow discipline. One of the biggest mental traps we fall into is comparison. We look at others, what they wear, what they own, where they travel, how they look, how successful they are, and suddenly our own life feels small. But let me tell you something. Comparison is a thief of joy, and mentally strong people don't waste time comparing themselves with others. They only compete with one person, the person they were yesterday. Imagine you're running a race in a stadium. If you keep looking at the runner in the next lane, what will happen? You'll lose focus, you'll slow down, and you may even stumble. The only way to win is to keep your eyes on your own track. Life is exactly like that. The problem is, most of us are so busy watching someone else's race that we forget to run our own. I once met a man who had a good job, a loving family, and decent health. But he was deeply unhappy. When I asked him why, he said, "Because my friend earns more than me, drives a better car, and travels abroad every year." I smiled and asked him, "Tell me, before you looked at your friend's life, were you unhappy with your own?" He paused and admitted, "No, actually I was content." And that's when he realized his misery was not because of his life, but because of his comparison. Mentally strong people are wise. They know the world will always have someone richer, smarter, more beautiful, or more successful. If you play the comparison game, you will always lose because there's no end to it. Instead, they focus on becoming better than their own yesterday. They ask, "Did I learn something new today? Did I grow a little? Did I improve in some way?" If the answer is yes, they feel successful. Let me share a simple analogy. Imagine a rose flower and a lotus flower standing next to each other. The rose says, "Oh, I wish I could bloom in water like the lotus." And the lotus says, "Oh, I wish I could smell as sweet as the rose." Both are beautiful in their own way, but because they compare, both feel inadequate. That's what comparison does. It blinds us to our own uniqueness. Mentally strong people celebrate their uniqueness. They don't want to be someone else. They want to be the best version of themselves. Think of great athletes. The champions don't just beat others. They constantly try to beat their own records. That's why they grow. If you always measure yourself against someone else, you'll either feel proud and arrogant when you think you're better, or you'll feel insecure and miserable when you think you're worse. Both are dangerous. But if you measure yourself against yourself, you will always be on the path of growth. So the next time you find yourself scrolling on social media, seeing someone's perfect vacation, perfect family picture, or perfect success story, remind yourself you are not seeing the whole truth. You are seeing a highlight reel, not the behind the scenes. Don't compare your reality with someone else's edited version of life. Instead, ask, how can I be a little stronger, a little kinder, a little wiser than I was yesterday? Mentally strong people have learned this art. They clap for others without feeling small themselves. They admire others without losing their own identity. And most importantly, they remind themselves every single day, my race is mine, my growth is mine. I am not here to be better than you. I am here to be better than me. Vah! One of the hardest things to deal with in life is rejection. Someone says no to you. A job you wanted slips away. A person you love doesn't feel the same. A door you were knocking on refuses to open. Most people get shattered by rejection. They start doubting themselves, questioning their worth, thinking, maybe I'm not good enough, maybe I'll never make it. But mentally strong people think very differently. For them, rejection is not destruction, it is redirection. Think about it. When one door closes, it doesn't mean all doors are locked. It simply means life is telling you, this is not your door. There's another one waiting for you. But what do we usually do? We stand outside the closed door, crying, knocking, begging it to open, while the right door, the better door, is just a few steps away. I once spoke to a young man who applied to his dream university. He worked so hard, gave his best effort, but he was rejected. He told me, my life is over. Everything I wanted is gone. I asked him, do you think this is the only university in the world? Do you think your life is dependent on one piece of paper? He was silent. A year later, he ended up in a different university where he discovered his true passion, something he might never have found had he gone to his first choice. That rejection was actually life's way of redirecting him to his real calling. Sometimes, what we call rejection is actually protection. Life knows things we don't. Maybe that relationship ending saved you from years of suffering. Maybe that job you didn't get was never going to let you grow. Maybe that opportunity you lost would have trapped you in the wrong place. But in the moment, we don't see that. We only see the pain. Mentally strong people, however, train themselves to trust the bigger picture. They tell themselves, if it's not this, it must be something better. Let me share an analogy. Imagine you're walking on a road and suddenly there's a diversion sign. At first you get irritated. You say, why can't I go straight? This is inconvenient. But that diversion might be saving you from a collapsed bridge ahead. You don't know it yet, but the road that felt like an obstacle is actually the road that saves your life. That's how rejection works. It diverts you, but often towards something greater. I remember someone telling me, but rejection hurts. It feels like a personal insult. And I said, of course it hurts. You're human. Feel the pain, but don't stay in it. Because rejection is rarely about your worth, it's about fit. A puzzle piece is not bad just because it doesn't fit in one spot. It simply belongs somewhere else. Mentally strong people don't let rejection define their identity. They don't say, I was rejected, therefore I am worthless. They say, I was redirected, therefore I am being guided. They carry the faith that life doesn't close a door unless there is another one waiting. And instead of wasting years banging on the wrong door, they have the courage to turn around and look for the right one. So the next time life says no, don't take it as the end of your story. Take it as the beginning of a new chapter. Because rejection, in reality, is not life being cruel. It is life whispering gently, not this way, my friend. There's a better way waiting for you. And those who are mentally strong, they hear that whisper, they trust it, and they walk forward with courage. There is one thing we all carry with us everywhere, not in our pockets, not in our bags, but in our minds. And that is our inner dialogue, the constant voice in our head. You know what I'm talking about. The voice that says, you're not good enough, or what if you fail, or people are judging you. That voice can become our greatest enemy if we don't learn to guide it. Mentally strong people understand this. They train their inner dialogue. They don't let their thoughts bully them. They make their thoughts their allies. Think of it this way. You spend more time with yourself than with anyone else in the world. 24 hours, 7 days a week. You are stuck with yourself. If your inner dialogue is harsh, critical, and negative, then you're living with a tormentor. But if your inner dialogue is kind, encouraging, and hopeful, then you're living with a best friend. The choice is yours. I remember meeting a young woman who always spoke negatively about herself. She would say, I'm ugly, I'm useless, I can't do anything right. She believed her own thoughts. One day I asked her, "Would you ever say these words to your best friend?" She said, "Never. I would never hurt someone like that." I smiled and said, "But you're hurting yourself every day with those words. Why don't you become your own best friend?" She went quiet. For the first time, she realized her inner dialogue was destroying her. Mentally strong people are not free from doubts, but they know how to manage them. When the voice says, "You can't," they reply, "Maybe not yet, but I will try." When the voice says, "You're going to fail," they answer, "Even if I fail, I will learn." They don't silence the voice, they redirect it. They turn the critic into a coach. Let me give you an analogy. Imagine you're driving a car and your GPS says, "Wrong turn, you're lost, you'll never reach your destination." Would you throw the car away? No. You would calmly reset the GPS, take the next turn, and continue. That's exactly how mentally strong people treat their thoughts. They don't panic when their mind says something negative. They simply redirect it, reset it, and move forward. The truth is, we cannot always control the first thought that pops into our mind, but we can always control the second thought, the one we choose to feed. If the first thought says, "You're worthless," the second thought can say, "No, I have value, I have purpose." If the first thought says, "You'll never make it," the second thought can say, "Every master was once a beginner." Mentally strong people focus on the second thought. I once read about a man who wrote down every negative thought he had about himself. After a week, he looked at the list and asked, "Would I allow anyone else to speak to me like this?" The answer was no. So he decided to become his own protector. Whenever a negative thought arose, he challenged it. Slowly, his mind became his friend instead of his enemy. That's the power of training your inner dialogue. And remember, what you tell yourself repeatedly becomes your reality. If you keep saying, "I'm unlucky, I'm weak, I'm hopeless," your mind will believe it and act accordingly. But if you keep saying, "I am learning, I am growing, I am resilient," your mind will start working to make that true. Words are seeds. The thoughts you plant today will grow into the reality you live tomorrow. So, my friends, the mentally strong choose their words carefully, especially the words they whisper to themselves. They don't allow the inner critic to dominate. They nurture the inner coach, the inner encourager. And because of that, they carry peace inside even when the world outside is noisy. Their greatest strength is not what they tell the world, it is what they tell themselves. My dear friends, life will always test us. Storms will come, people will disappoint us, failures will visit us, and our own mind will sometimes try to drag us down. But what truly matters is not what happens to us. It is how we choose to respond, how we choose to think, how we choose to live. Mentally strong people are not born different. They are ordinary human beings who make extraordinary choices. They decide not to be victims of life, but students of life. They decide not to let pain break them, but to let pain build them. They decide not to wait for perfect conditions, but to grow through imperfect situations. And the good news is, you and I can also make those choices. Mental strength is not about having a tough face. It's about having a trained mind and a resilient heart. It's about focusing on what we can control, turning why me into try me, choosing progress over perfection, turning setbacks into set-ups, embracing discipline over distraction, celebrating our uniqueness instead of comparing, treating rejection as redirection, mastering our inner dialogue, choosing gratitude over complaint, and living by purpose instead of pressure. If you remember even one of these lessons and start applying it today, you'll see your life begin to transform. Because strength is not built in one day, but it is built every day, one thought, one choice, one response at a time. So as we walk out of this room today, let's carry one commitment in our hearts. No matter what comes our way, we will not be broken, we will be built. We will not just survive, we will rise. And we will not just live life, we will live it with strength, with courage, and with grace. Thank you so much.